Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host Jakel, the world's worst YouTuber, coming to you today to answer one very simple question. Why do I call myself the world's worst YouTuber? Now, the reason that I bring up this question and have decided to dedicate an entire video to it is, one, content. Two, there are a couple of people in my comments recently who have expressed concern trying to reassure me that I am not the world's worst YouTuber. Rest assured, guys, I know I'm not. Do I believe that I am actually the world's worst YouTuber? No. In no way, shape, or form do I actually believe that. However, it is a self-appointed title that I gave myself way back near the beginning of this channel. So, gosh, you know what? Here's a recap. Let's go all the way back to the beginning of the channel. When I first started this channel, I was a completely different person. This was the later part of 2017. My son, who was 4 years old now, was an infant then. I was about 60 pounds heavier. I had not even realized that I was trans. This is obviously not the person that I was then. The point is to say that I myself, in every way, shape, or form, have come a long way since then. Now, when I came to YouTube, I wanted this to be a main creative outlet, and I thought I could do good. When I looked around, I saw that I had a phone that I could use, and I was using Windows Live Movie Maker to edit on my fiance's laptop. I was not working with great equipment. I didn't know anything about lighting. I didn't know anything about presenting myself in a certain way. I was very scared of presenting who I really am. And even this is sort of a facade. I'm definitely putting on somewhat of a mask to be more of a presentation. But I'm definitely not nearly as afraid of showing myself as I was then. And that was very easily translated into the kind of content that I was making. Now, the first video went up around just before Halloween that year. Christmas time came around, and I had decided that I wanted to make a 12 Days of Christmas series that year. The idea was to get my content pushed further into the algorithm by having more consistent uploads. Also, I wound up gaining a lot of experience with video making and editing, and I just tried on a whole bunch of different hats. However, one thing did happen. My content got put in front of many more eyes, but it did not have the outcome that I had desired. With everything that I said about I was different, I was scared, I was definitely a greenhorn, I was a rookie, I didn't know what I was doing. There were a lot of people who were now seeing my content and felt very comfortable expressing this to me, even one commenter saying I was in fact the world's worst YouTuber. This prompted me to quit. That's why there's only 3 or 4 of those 12 Days of Christmas videos left, because I took them all down. I took down a whole bunch of content because I just got so upset about it. I quit for about 3 or 4 months. Eventually, I got to a point where I decided I didn't want to give this up, and I had reflected on myself, and what was the big problem of, even if I was the world's worst YouTuber, what is the problem with that? And that's when I decided to just take that on, and the first video I did coming back, I straight up said, I'm the world's worst YouTuber. Doing much of what I do now, the same intro. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm your host Jakel, the world's worst YouTuber. And it has stuck ever since. And I have been saying this for so long that it would feel weird to me if I did not start the video that way. Now, when I am off screen, I am a very reflective person. I reflect on myself a lot, and I reflect on my life, and I just think probably too much on things that really don't matter. But with that being said, since I think so much, especially what is my hair doing? Emo Karen's getting the best of me. Anyhow, I thought about this title, and eventually being the world's worst YouTuber came to mean something to me. Now, during the time that I was really making a lot of content at first, so let's say 2018, there was a lot of push on the creators by YouTube themselves to make more family-friendly content, more easily presentable content that could be more digestible to the masses. And there was a huge outcry from a lot of people that just really hated this because it took away from what brought people to start making YouTube content to begin with. I remember back in high school, so this is like 2007, 2008, some of the things that really got my attention about YouTube all the way back then were content creators such as Kyle Monkey. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with this character, but they were a real staple within certain circles of YouTubers, and they inspired others to create content where it was just sitting down and goofing off in front of a camera. It wasn't good content, it wasn't great quality, but it made people laugh. As my life moved on and I got a little bit older, YouTube became a staple in my life. I wound up liking a whole bunch of different creators such as Tom Ska because of the ASDF movies. Just goofy little cartoon jokes, and after every single punchline there's the little psh, the static to change to the next joke. And I actually have my own videos on here that are very much inspired by this. My Halloween hangovers and my holiday hangover, that little transition skit is directly ripped from that. So what brought people to YouTube to start making content in the first place was stuff like that. They wanted to try their hand at making stuff that was like that. And now, because YouTube had become a much more reputable business, they felt the need to put a lot of pressure on the content creators to make brand-friendly content, because YouTube gets a lot of money from ad revenue, and then they share that revenue with the creators, and that's how people get paid on YouTube, through the AdSense program. But there were a lot of things that were going on at this time in the 2018 era. There was the Viner invasion, where Viners such as Gabby Hanna and the Paul brothers came onto YouTube, and they were making extremely problematic content. So YouTube itself really cracked down on the type of content that they were going to allow to be monetized. So now on the surface, YouTube was expecting that the content that they put out into the algorithm in front of more people's eyes was going to be that brand-friendly content, which really sucked the life and the soul and the spirit out of YouTube. And the thing that sucked at that time for me was that I had very limited quality equipment. For a very long time on here, literally half of the time that I've been uploading here, I was working off of Windows Live Movie Maker and my phone. So the best kind of content that I was able to make was the content that inspired me to come to YouTube in the first place, which was stuff like Kyle Monkey as well as the ASDF movies. I tried making a couple of videos which never saw the light of day that were a lot like Power Thirst. Do you guys remember Power Thirst? Were you guys on the internet when Power Thirst was a thing? Power Thirst, made for people who need gratuitous amounts of energy. Menergy! Let me bring myself back. Okay, hang on, bear with me a second. The light's coming in very awkwardly from that window over there. So I'm going to adjust ever so slightly so you can see more of the mess. Okay, I guess there's less mess than I thought. Hang on, I still need to adjust the... Better. Not good, but better. And yet, in spite of my technological limitations, that didn't stop me from rising to the challenge and making content that emulated the more modern creators that I had become very much a fan of. Let's refer to one of my favorite videos, which is the Dedicated Student of Internet Comment Etiquette. If you're not familiar with Sensei Salvia, Eric is a person who creates YouTube content, and it all revolves around teaching his students how to perform proper and respectful comment etiquette. There was a brief while where I took a break, and I wound up consuming, at that point, all of his content. And I wanted to make a video that was emulating that perfectly. But instead of trying to say that I was him, I said I am a dedicated student. But I wound up, even though it wasn't to the same degree or caliber that Eric was able to make, I did my goddamnedest with very limited technological privileges, and I still made something that was very close to something that he would make. But it was still a shitty quality video. It was still, like, I just took pieces of shit and threw it together, and somehow I took a haphazard skeletal remain of this scaffolding of an internet comment etiquette video, but I still did it. And it was still a low quality video I just put way too much effort into. But I still did it. And to me, that's when it actually meant something to be the world's worst YouTuber. Am I literally the world's worst YouTuber? No. However, it is a reminder to me of where I came from and where I started. And granted, the only thing different now is, hang on, I have a ring light, and even though I have a better camera than my phone, I still prefer to use my phone because it's what I got used to. Hang on just a sec. I've got this camera that my ex got me for my birthday. I forget which birthday it was. We were still together. It was a couple of years before we broke up, but I got this. And I tried working with it and I tried rolling with it, but for some reason I just never really connected to it. That doesn't mean that I don't use it. It's still nifty, it's still good. But I had gotten so used to using my phone, even though this is about the same quality. I just got used to using my phone. And now, me and that partner have since broken up. So obviously I have my own laptop now. But even so, it's still only like a $300 HP laptop that I got from Walmart. And the video editor that I use was a $10 program that I downloaded off the Microsoft Store. It's still not great equipment, but it gets me by. And really, calling myself the world's worst YouTuber is a reminder not to take myself too seriously. It's a reminder to make sure that I'm not trying too hard. So I'm not being a try-hard. Because honestly, I nitpick and critique myself, and I have wound up becoming a perfectionist in many ways. Because I have an idea for a video, and I set things up, and I want it to look a certain way. But the content that made me fall in love with my own content was the crappy thrown together haphazard videos. And even though that doesn't mean that I can't make videos that are a little bit better if I actually have the spoons and the time and the effort and the privilege to be able to work on a more better quality video. But that's not the stuff that I fell in love with. So on one hand, it's a little bit of lampshading. That way, when you come to a video, whoever it is, you already have the predisposition. Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm your host Jakel, the world's worst YouTuber. That way you can come away with one of two things. One, it actually is going to be crappy content. Or two, you know that I'm not taking myself far too seriously. It's also a reminder to myself to stay humble, to not take myself too seriously, and to not get too big for my britches. It reminds me where I came from, since I have been repping this title since, gosh, the very beginning of 2018. Also, what kind of shit can you talk about somebody who is already calling themselves the world's worst YouTuber? I'm aware that my content is not great. It's good. It's entertaining. The people that connect with it because they like my personality or they like the kind of content that I am creating. And it doesn't need to be great quality stuff. It doesn't need to be the type of content, the type of brand safe, user family friendly content that YouTube has come to demand. Now, surprisingly, this is a relatively shorter video compared to some of the ones that I make before. I have gone on long and long and long enough. I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? I am notorious for being exceptionally long-winded. So keeping this to a very topical point to cover everything start to finish actually didn't take a lot of time, and I am proud of myself for that. On that note, I'm not actually the world's worst YouTuber. It's just a title that I have given myself. And without it, I don't think I would be me, and I don't think I could be me. At least the version of me that I present to you guys here on the internet. And on that note, take care. Much love. Peace out. I forgot my outro. Let's try that again. Until next time, much love. Peace out. Namaste and goodbye.